Hey guys, it's Angli Et Nex here again. Today I'm going to bring you the PVE Tactician Guardian Fighter. I can't take full credit for this build because this has been me and my bloody Blahdagas brainchild, as you will. Many long nights spent trying to build and perfect the perfect Guardian Fighter build. So a little shout out to him there for you. So as you can see, I'm just a shade under 2600 item level, but it's not really needed for this build. You don't have to have a crazy high item level to be a good tank with this build. And the main stats that we're going to be using here is Con and Dex. Con mainly just for the added HP that you get, and then the Dex for the AoE resist and deflection chance. As you can see, my stats there on the right hand side, 15k power, 15k defense, and that is just standing still, no buffs whatsoever. I am running a rising deflect ring and a sudden defense ring on my person, and then sudden deflect, sudden defense on my bonding companion. I am also running a greater Lathander's cloak for the added AC, and then a greater plated band of constitution for the extra con. Basically, when everything procs off, I am well above the resistance mark, damage resistance mark for my character, so I run a transcendent bark shield instead. And then I am also running a perfect lightning for added threat and aggro, plus a little bit of the cooldown reduction properties that it adds. And it is also just nice to have those chains going out there, and it looks really cool. Powers, here we go. The only thing that really matters in this first little chunk are these ones that have 3 or more points in them. So starting off, Tide of Iron, left trigger. This is extra damage resistance for you and recovers 10% of your stamina, which helps you keep your shield up for longer. Shield talent, when your shield is up, less stamina drain. So this is going to be a big staple because you're going to have your shield up 90% of the time with this build. Next is going to be Villain's Menace. I don't generally use this because I generally only do PvE, but in PvP it makes you resistant to control and parrying effects, so it is highly useful in PvP, but not necessary in PvE. Enforced Threat, this is going to be the brunt of your aggro generation. You mark targets around you in an AoE, and this is also helps with great weapon fighters that are spec'd into more damage from marked targets. Fighter's Recovery, this is going to be your main daily because when you damage foes after you activate this, it deals a heal for you. So I generally try to activate this, then use Enforced Threat. Enhanced Mark, this helps just with a little bit more threat generation, and you can switch this off with Guarded Assault also. Enhanced Mark just helps you generate more threat. Guarded Assault, if you're running with a group that's pretty strong, doesn't necessarily need some of the tanking ability, you can switch this off to deal a little bit of damage. Crushing Surge, your main at-will power. This deals good damage, but it also, with the third strike, heals you. So that's why we use it, a little bit of extra sustain. Knight's Challenge, not used so often in PvE, but you can use it on big bosses if you think you can handle it. More used in PvP because it locks you into one-on-one combat. The person that you're locked in combat with deals less damage to your allies, but double damage to you. Anvil of Doom, this is good for running your dailies. It used to be the hardest hitting encounter that we had, but since the nerf it's not as strong, but still very good for dailies, along with Flourish because Flourish has a stun. And then I switch off Tide of Iron for Weapon Master when I'm running my dailies, just for that extra AoE damage since you do that wide 180-degree arc. Into the Fray, you're going to use this because it's a damage buff, run speed buff, and they gain temporary hit points, so it buffs your team, and we're spec'd into this into our feats, so we get an added extra 5%. Steel Supremacy tends to be a little bit laggy when you use it, but when you're running with those groups, like I said before, that don't necessarily need all of the tanking, you can use this to deal some extra damage. Steel Defense, I use this just because I'm a little bit under geared, and it helps me by being immune when I use my daily powers. Iron Warrior, this helps you if you're having trouble holding aggro or you're getting squished a lot, gives you temp hit points and increases your stamina generation. Knight's Valor, you use this mainly for those teams that are super squishy. If you're running with a lot of locks or control wizards, that's nice. Crescendo, the only reason why I have this slotted is because it has an interrupt property, so when you're fighting a boss and you see them charging up a power, you can use this to interrupt them. Commander Strike, this is a Gwyff's best friend. When they see Commander Strike, they will use IBS and they will smash the crap out of whatever they're using. It hits super hard. Desperate Survival, you can use this instead of Steel Defense, just for extra deflect chance, and then Shield Warrior's Wrath, again, deals some extra damage and helps you if running dailies or if you just need the extra damage for dungeons. On to feats here, we got 3 and 3 in toughness, more HP for the tank. And then 1 point here, this was just a build up, we didn't really spec into strength, so that's not that important. 5 of 5 here, more action points when you're guarding attacks. You're going to be guarding attacks 99% of the time, so more APs, more daily. 3 out of 5 here for less damage dealt to you. The less damage they deal to you, the more your survivability. 3 of 3 here, more armor class and more defense for your tanky tank. And then this helps you generate more threat. And then 5 of 5 here for less combat advantage damage against you. When they get past 180 degrees, they start dealing combat advantage, and it hurts. Especially when bosses do it, it hits really hard. 5% deflect chance here, that's pretty basic for any standard tank. And then plus 5 to armor class, which is huge for any tank. Getting that boost in armor class is phenomenal. 5 of 5 here, reduce the CDR on your encounter power, so more uptime on Fray and on Commander Strike. Your control damage, basically you're going to control everybody because you're taunting them, and so that helps you deal just a little bit more damage. Marked targets deal less damage to your allies. Your allies gain 5% AP. You and your allies take 5% less damage. And your Into the Fray boosts the damage bonus that it gives to your group, so 5% more damage to Fray. So this is kind of protecting and buffing your team. That's what Tactician does. And then when you're being attacked, when you take damage, you generate action points for you and for your team. And it's based off your damage resistance, so that can actually get pretty high. On to boons. I haven't completed every campaign, but I'll still go over these boons here really quick for you. So you're going to start off with the 2% control resist. You're going to go 400 stamina, 2000 recovery when your guard gain is missing, 3200 max HP, and then you're going to go deflect times 3. So this has a 3 stack deflect damage. You're going to be deflecting a lot. Sharandar, you're going to go 400 defense, 400 deflect, 3% AP. It's a 20k heal every time you strike an enemy, and then 3k deflect. And then Dread Ring here, 250 power, 400 lifesteal, 3% deflect, 20k heal, and then this top one is a chance to shield yourself when attacking enemies. And then Icewind Dale, 400 AoE resist, 400 stamina gain, 400 recovery, 2k power when your guard is missing, and then the top is Avalanche, build 20 stacks, 15k damage to targets around you when consumed. Underdark, we're going to go 400 deflect, 400 lifesteal, 1200 regen, stamina gain, and then control bonus versus demons. So you're taunting them, it just helps you keep aggro. Tyranny of Dragons, 1600 HP, 400 deflect, 400 defense, 400 lifesteal, and then control strength times 3. Maze Engine, you're gonna go 5% lifesteal severity, 5% control resist, 10% stamina gained while in combat. That is huge for a tank. And then 10% control strength. Then we're going to start off with 300 defense, 4% lifesteal severity, 400 recovery, 24k heal plus 1000 recovery. So when you're taking damage, you have a chance to heal yourself. So heal yourself for 24k